Welcome back to Coding Games in Python. In this video we'll talk about basic animation. As we saw in the last video, everything's centered around the arcade.window class. It has a width and a height that we can specify for the window. All these are measured in pixel, and also a title. And then in the window class, onDraw and onUpdate, these methods are called automatically and approximately about 60 times a second, so that we can draw all the objects and then update them to create animation. And then notice on the method onUpdate, there's a delta time input, and delta time represents the time since the last time that onUpdate was called. And so we can use this to create animation. And the way we do this is just simply have all of our objects be drawn in onDraw, and then onUpdate we can update the position, for example, and then to create the illusion of animation. And so we're going to do a very simple example to create to do animation. And the way we do that, we're going to use to also illustrate delta time. We're going to use it to create a timer. And so you write in a game, you might want a timer on for your game. And so let's see how this is done. So I'm going to call up Visual Studio Code, and then I'll open the folder. And in the last video we did the basic drawing, so in this video we do basic animation. And so here I have that same template that we had last time, which has the importing arcade, the width and the height of the screen, and then we create a game window class that extends or inherits from the window class of arcade. The constructor here calls the constructor of window.arcade, arcade.window, and also set the background color. And so as we saw last time, onDraw is called 60 times a second to draw objects, and we have to call arcade.startRender so that this works properly. And then onUpdate we didn't use last time, but we'll do it today. And so the in the main method, we create a game window that has a width and a height, and in this time we're going to call it a basic animation. And then we have to make sure we call arcade.run. This is going to start the application event loop that allow us to listen for keyboard inputs and mouse inputs. Okay, so let's go to the constructor, and we're going to create a variable, just a timer variable. So self.timer, and we set it equal to 0. And so on update now, we're gonna update that timer, and we're just gonna do something very simple: timer plus equal to delta time. And so what this does is that this is called automatically 60 times a second, and so as this call, my timer variable is being updated by adding the delta time. Again, delta time is the time that this function was called last, and so this acts as a timer that accumulate time since the program begins. And so then now in onDraw, we're gonna just display that time. And so I'm gonna use arcade.drawText that we saw last time, and I'm gonna use an F string for this. And so this is a formatted string. This is available since Python 3.6. So this format string is so we need a open and close curly brackets, and then we'll put our variable here, the timer variable. And then I'm going to use a double colon here to do some formatting. It's very basic formatting. I'm going to just do to floating point. And so feel free to look at F string. In my crash course material, beginning of the course, I have some information on that if you are not familiar with formatted strings. Okay, so I'm going to display that on the screen, and then I'm going to also put that maybe somewhere in the middle of the screen. So width over 2, height over 2, and then I will specify the color of the text. So arcade.color. Let's just do a black color, and then I can also specify the font size, and so let's say 40. So if I were to run this, we can see what happens. There it is. There's our timer. And so again, this is just a basic illustration and animation. And let me go back to the code here. So once again, this onDraw is where you just draw your object, and the onUpdate will update your objects. And so together, these methods are called automatically 60 times a second. And that's how we're going to do all of our animation for all of our games. Okay, that's all I want to cover for this video. Thanks for watching.